The Adventures of Spooky!
Spooky Finds a Home.
Written, narrated, music, and produced by David Van Wieren.
The clouds rolled in over the majestic Rocky Mountains, offering relief from the summer heat. Beneath the porch of an old apartment complex laid a beautiful black Bombay cat named Duchess. Duchess cried in pain as her first kitten was born. 4 kittens later, she thought it was over. An hour had passed by when suddenly there was a bright flash of lightning followed by the loud crackling of thunder. Out popped a little black fuzzball, a little smaller than the other kittens. It didn't have a name yet because it didn't have a human to name it. A month went by with a family of kittens and their mama living beneath the porch. Then one night the littlest one woke up and was alone. From time to time, Duchess would go out to hunt for food for the family, but this night was different. The other kittens were gone too. "Mama!" it cried. "Mama!" The kitten looked all around under the porch, but there was no sign of Duchess or the other kittens. The little kitten was scared and hungry. The kitten poked its little head through a hole and looked outside. It was dark with just a little bit of yellow light from the lampposts. It listened intently for its brothers and sisters crying in the night. Nothing was heard but the hum of air conditioners and fans in the balmy night air. The little kitten crawled through a hole in the latticework and ventured forth. The world was so big for a kitten so small. "Mama!" the kitten screamed in desperation as it stepped onto the sidewalk. The cries echoed off the buildings and drifted away into the night. "Meow!" came back a reply. "Who's out there?" it faintly heard. "It's me!" the little kitten cried as it followed the sound. The sound was coming from behind an apartment door. "Let me in!" the kitten begged. "Let me in!" A little while had gone by when suddenly the little kitten was lifted high into the air. "Well now, who do we have here?" a voice boomed. The little kitten found itself staring into the big blue eyes of a tall human named David. "Help!" it squeaked. "Now where do you belong, little fuzzball?" David asked affectionately. The little kitten turned its head toward the door it was near and meowed. "In there?" the kitten guessed. David began to hear kittens meowing. The sound was coming from the apartment they were near. David pondered. He walked over to the door and knocked. The meowing got louder, but no one answered, so he knocked again. The door opened and a little Oriental lady stood there. "What do you want?" she asked David while looking at the kitten he was holding. "I found this kitten outside crying near your door, and when I heard the kittens in your apartment, I guessed that this one also belonged to you," he replied. "Not our cat," said the woman. "But they're the same age," David retorted disbelievingly. "We only have one black cat in litter. There," she said as she pointed to a kitten sitting on the couch. It looked just like the kitten David was holding, only a little bit bigger. Just then the woman's daughter came home. "Oh, how cute!" Jessica exclaimed. "It looks just like our new kitten Jasper, only smaller. Is it yours, David?" she asked. "I found it crying outside your door, Jessica. I thought it was yours," David replied. "That wildcat," Jessica's mom piped in. "No belong here. We have 6. They all here," she continued. "She's right," Jessica affirmed. "There were some kittens born under the porch over there about the same time our cat Jezebel's litter was born." David became concerned. "It's too little to be on its own. It may still need nursing." "Do you think Jezebel might nurse it?" David asked hopefully. "We could try," Jessica said as she took the little black kitten from his arms. All the talking puzzled the little kitten. It was too scared to make a noise. Jessica and her mother went inside with the little kitten, leaving David outside pacing like an expectant father in a hospital waiting room. Jessica put the little kitten down next to Jezebel. "Go away, you little runt," Jezebel hissed and swatted at the little kitten. "But aren't you my mama?" the little kitten asked. "I look just like you." "Even if I was your mama, I would abandon you. Look at you," Jezebel exclaimed. "You're a disgrace to whomever gave you birth. Look how small and scrawny you are. Why would I waste my milk on you when I have all these other fine children?" "Yeah, go away, you little runt," the other kitten squeaked. The little kitten started crying. "Why are they so mean to me?" it wondered. "What did I do? I wish I'd never been born." Finally, Jessica stepped back outside and handed the little kitten back to David. "Sorry, David," Jessica said sympathetically. "Jezebel won't have anything to do with it." "Oh boy," David sighed. "I'll have to take it home until we find its owner." David said goodnight. Jessica and her mom went inside, and David walked across the courtyard while gently stroking the kitten's soft, silky fur. "What are we going to do with you?" David asked the little kitten lovingly. The kitten was silent and scared. It had been wondering the same thing. They entered the small apartment David lived in with Win and his Maine Coon cat named Max. David set the little kitten down and went into the kitchen. He poured a small saucer of milk and put some more kibble out for the small kitten. The little kitten ate until its tummy was about to burst. It was real hungry and the food tasted good. It never had salmon and tuna food before. There were pictures of Win all over the apartment. There was a nice soft leather couch. But best of all, there were a lot of cat toys. After hearing a commotion, Max came out from the bedroom closet. He spotted the little black ball of fuzz playing with his toys and went over to investigate. Max sniffed, the kitten hissed, and when he had not retreated quickly enough, the little kitten whapped him on the nose. "Ow!" Max cried as he ran out of the kitchen. "The little thing got you good, Max," David laughed. "What a spunky thing you are," he marveled. "Maybe you are a wildcat." That night, the little kitten curled up in a ball, nesting beside David. The kitten purred with contentment as it slept soundly in comfort, warmth, and safety. In the morning, David woke up to a commotion. "Ow, ow, ow!" he heard Max yelp. He looked down from the bed and saw the little cat swatting Max on the tail. Max looked up at David and asked, "Can I fight back, please? Where did you get this little brat?" "No, Max," David answered. "It's just a little thing. You're a big cat. It wouldn't be fair." "You call this fair?" Max exclaimed. David got up and let them both go outside. The little kitten chased Max into the bushes across the way. "I'm a-comin' after you," it threatened. After breakfast, David went outside and sat down with the little kitten in the shade beneath the balcony to escape the searing heat of the sun. He turned the little kitten over on its back for a belly rub when he noticed it was a girl. "Crikey, it's a Sheila!" he exclaimed jokingly. He thought, that's not a bad name. I'll call her Sheila. While he was petting her tiny little head and scratching her belly, she clamped her sharp little teeth on his finger. "Ow, you bit me!" he exclaimed in surprise. Suddenly he heard laughter from behind him. It was his neighbor Danny with his dog Fluffy. "What do you have there?" Danny asked. "A lost kitten. I found her over there crying last night," David recalled as he pointed over to the office porch. "Whose is she?" Danny asked. "I don't know. But if you hear of anyone missing a kitten, send them over here," David replied while shaking off the pain in his finger. Meanwhile, Fluffy had walked over to the kitten and started sniffing her to see what the little ball of fur was. The little kitten hissed, Don't mess with me, and smacked the big dog on the nose. Arr! Fluffy yelped as he started retreating. The kitten went after him and swatted him one more time. This time Fluffy retreated behind his owner. Danny held out his cane to distract the little kitten. Leave him alone. I think he got the point, Danny scolded. Good luck finding her owner, David. I've got to do some errands now, Danny said as he led Fluffy away from the terrifying little kitten. Oh yes, David remembered, I'm late for work. He rounded up the cats, left a note for Win, locked the door, and headed off to work. Later that day, Win arrived home. She had been out of town visiting her family. She opened the door, tired from the journey, and set her travel bags down. Yow! Came a high-pitched scream from under her foot. Win nearly jumped out of her skin. What the? She yelled in surprise as she moved her foot off the kitten's tail. The little kitten streaked across the room in a blur. She sat in a corner and licked her tail because of the pain. Win thought aloud in surprise. This is too weird. Now where did you come from? Then she spotted the note David had left her. Her name is Sheila. I'll explain when I get home, was all it said. You better explain, Win yelled at the note. Sheila, huh? You don't look like a Sheila, she commented to the little kitten as it popped its head out from under the coffee table. Meanwhile, Max came back out of the bedroom where he had been hiding from the little kitten. He had heard his mom's voice, to which he responded, Hello? Hello? There's my little boy, she said lovingly to Max. She began to stroke Max's fur when suddenly the little kitten snuck up on him and whapped him on the tail. Ow, 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 Max exclaimed as he tried to run away. Cut that out, he screamed to the little kitten. The kitten continued to chase him with her sharp, tiny claws digging into his tail. I like to have fun, and chasing your tail is a lot of fun, replied the little kitten. Win was surprised, but she saw an opportunity to have a moment alone. She opened the door, giving Max a chance to escape. The cats quickly ran out the door into the courtyard. I'm a-comin' after you, the kitten meowed at Max as she chased him out of the apartment. Whew, what a day, Win sighed. She sat down for a few moments, feeling the cool air blowing through the door as the sun was setting. After taking a break, she picked up her bags and brought them into the bedroom and set them on the bed. She began unpacking when out popped the little black kitten. Oh my God, you scared me, she exclaimed. Now that's spooky. I thought you were still out with Max. Max had hidden in some thorn bushes and the kitten had given up trying to reach him. So the little kitten returned inside and crawled into Win's bag. Win continued about her business. The little kitten followed her everywhere she went. What are you, my shadow? She asked the little kitten as she barely avoided stepping on her again. The kitten squeaked. What you doing? Putting on my makeup, Win replied. What's makeup? Asked the little kitten. You wouldn't understand. It's for grown-up human girls, not for little kittens, she replied. Win sat down to relax. The little kitten bounded up onto her lap and laid back. As she stroked her soft, silky fur, she spoke to the kitten. I don't see you as a Sheila. I see you as a spooky little shadow. That's it, she announced. Spooky shadow. That's what I'll call you. An hour later, David returned home from work. Max was outside waiting to go in. Max started talking up a storm. Mom left me out here and I'm mad at you for bringing that little brat home. You didn't even ask me. She's eating all my food, stealing my toys, and Mom hardly pays attention to me, Max complained. Settle down, Max, David reassured him. She's homeless. It's our duty and privilege to show compassion for those in trouble. Remember when we got you? A little bit, said Max. Your previous owner was going to send you off to kitty jail because she had too many cats, David explained. You were all scared and afraid of people. Look at you now. You have a loving home, plenty of food, and lots of toys. You say hi to the neighbors every day, and now you have a little sister to love and to teach. Be thankful for what you have, and always share with those who have nothing. It'll be all right, David said confidently. You'll see, he reassured Max. But why this one, Max grumbled. I'm supposed to love her and teach her? You got that from the Bible, didn't you? It sure is easier to read it than to do it. That's true, Max, but the more you practice it, the more it becomes a part of you, David replied. It's more blessed to give than to receive. David opened the door to see Win on the couch with Spooky looking very peaceful. He was certain she had already decided to keep the little kitten after seeing the love on her face. All right, explain, Win said calmly. David summed up the events of the last 2 days. I heard her crying in the night and I couldn't find her owner, so I took her in. Well, she can't stay, Win said while cuddling the little kitten. We already have a cat. We'll have to find her a good home. David was crestfallen, but he tried not to reveal how much he loved the little kitten. She disappears when she closes her eyes, Win marveled. She looks spooky. She follows me everywhere I go, so I called her Spooky Shadow. But I named her Sheila, David whined. No, Win countered. She's definitely Spooky Shadow. The next morning, David let the cats out and sat outside sipping his coffee. His neighbor Carl and his 2-year-old son Toby walked up to him.
Hey David, what you got there?
Carl asked when he spotted the little ball of fuzz at David's feet. Hi Carl, said David. This is Spooky. I found her the other night. Win says we need to find her a good home, David explained. Toby bent over to pet Spooky, but then Spooky started running around like she wanted him to chase her. I'm faster than you are. Catch me if you can, Spooky taunted. Just then, a young woman named Lisa came around the corner with her little daughter, Louisa. How cute, she exclaimed as she watched Toby chase Spooky around the yard.
Hey Lisa, you want a cat?
Carl asked. Don't you want it? Lisa asked David in disbelief. Well, we already have Max, so Win wants to find a good home for this one, David replied reluctantly. I'll take her, Lisa piped up. You'd have to ask Win, David answered with concern. He loved Spooky and really didn't want to give her up. Is she home? Lisa asked. No, she already left for work, David answered. I'll come back later, Lisa said as she walked away. I've got to get ready for work, Carl. I'll talk to you later, David said as he rounded up Max and Spooky and put them inside. David looked down at Spooky as she jumped all over Max. She wouldn't give you up, Spooky, he whispered. She'll fall in love with you just like I have. He prepared himself for work and drove off. Spooky didn't understand everything the grown-ups were saying, but she could feel that David was worried. She became worried too. What's going to happen to me, she wondered. David returned home late in the evening and gave Win a hug and a kiss at the door. After looking around the apartment, he asked, Where's Spooky? I gave her to Lisa, Win replied. She told me that she had talked to you earlier. She seemed nice enough, so I gave Spooky to her. David's jaw dropped to the floor in disbelief, but he still couldn't tell Win how much he loved Spooky. Meanwhile, Spooky was at Lisa's apartment. It was dark inside. There were no cat toys. She didn't like the food. It tasted icky to her compared to the salmon and tuna food she had just gotten used to. Lisa wouldn't let her go out and play. Lisa's little girl kept pulling her tail, so Spooky hissed, Leave me alone! Spooky missed chasing Max around. She also missed going out into the yard and pouncing on crickets. She missed sitting on the couch with Max's mom, but mostly she missed getting hugs from David. She became angry and bitter. She started nervously scratching away at the couch. Why did you give me up? Spooky cried as if David could hear her. Don't you love me? What did I do wrong? I promise I'll be a good girl. Please take me back. Please. The next week went by painfully for David, too. Though he had accepted the fact that Spooky would no longer be with him, he thought about her often. Then one day, David arrived home and opened the door. There was Spooky jumping all over Max. Win was sitting on the couch with a grin on her face. Win explained, I ran into Lisa and she was miserable. Spooky has been tearing apart her furniture, hissing at her little girl, and the landlord wants a pet deposit from her. Cats pick their humans, you know. I think Spooky picked you, David. That night when she was crying and you rescued her, that's when she picked you. She's not going to be happy anywhere else. David was full of joy. He scooped up the little kitten and hugged her. Spooky, you finally got a home, he announced. We're your family now. Spooky loved the feeling of being hugged by David. After David set her down, Max walked up to her and rubbed his head on her side. I guess this makes me your big brother now, Max said to Spooky. He walked over to his toy box and picked up his favorite squeaky mouse with his mouth. He walked back over to Spooky and dropped it in front of her. Here, you can have my best squeaky mouse, sis, he announced. Spooky was overcome with joy. For me, she asked. Yes, for you, Max replied. I have plenty of toys. I want to give you this one as a present. I never got a present before, Spooky exclaimed. Thank you, Max. Thank you so much. That is so cute, Win said to David. Look, Max gave Spooky his favorite toy. What a good boy, Max, David exclaimed. You know what? I feel good inside, Max marveled. It's kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling, but not a fur ball, he smiled. That night, Spooky curled up next to Max, and as her eyelids got heavy, she thought to herself, I've got me a home. And she drifted off to sleep with a song in her head.
As long as I have you, the sweet love and peace you provide will be with me as long as I'm alive. My family abandoned me. I was lost so early in life. You picked me up in your big strong hands. I stared into your eyes of blue. I've got me a home. It's a special place. I'll never be alone again. The sweet love and peace you provide will be with me as long as I'm alive. My family abandoned me. I was lost so early in life. You lifted me and your love set me free. I will always love you. I've got me a home. It's a special place. I'll never be alone again as long as I have you. The sweet love and peace you provide will be with me as long as I'm alive. The sweet love